Hello everyone, welcome to Raj Malhotra's IAS Academy. So friends, today we are going to discuss about Viksit Bharat mission. So this is a recent mission which has been started by the government, and in this article which is from The Hindu, there has been discussion on this Viksit Bharat mission. So we are going to discuss about what is this Viksit Bharat mission, what aims government wants to achieve through this Viksit Bharat mission, and what alternate can be there to this Viksit Bharat mission, or what we can add into this Viksit Bharat mission. Now friends, as per this Viksit Bharat mission which has been started by the government of India, government is mainly focusing on economical development. Economical development means how we can measure the economical development. It can be measured only through GDP. Now under this Viksit Bharat mission, government is trying to boost the GDP of India, and by boosting the development or by boosting the GDP of India, government wants to increase the happiness, we can say, or government wants to increase the well-being of the society. But the problem is, as per this article, the problem is, if you want to achieve the aim of Viksit Bharat, then you need not only to focus on the economical development. Along with the economical development, we need to focus on the social development as well. Because if we want a Viksit India, that means happy India and developed India, it should be the sole aim of the government. So to achieve this happy India and developed India, along with the economical growth, we need to focus on the social growth as well for the Indian society. Now, what are the various supporting points? Like, just take an example of US. Now, US is the developed economy and it is the biggest economy of this world. Now, the economical well-being is there in US, but if you talk about the happiness index, or how the people in US, those who are living in US, how they are feeling, but in case of US, the happiness index, it is very low. In case of Finland and Denmark, though their GDP level is low, but their happiness index or the social well-being index in these countries, it is so high. Now, in case of India, if we want to make India a Viksit Bharat, then along with the GDP growth rate, we need to focus on the social well-being of our public as well. Now, there are some indexes. We can focus on these indexes, and if we start focusing on these indexes, these can help us to achieve the aim of Viksit Bharat. Now, these indexes, along with the economical index, which is GDP growth rate, along with this GDP growth rate, if we are going to focus on these indexes, which is green index, poverty index, gender equality index, it is going to help us to achieve the overall growth for our economy as well as for our society. Now, what is this green index? Green index, it is something which is related with the sustainable development. If we are only focusing on the economical development by cutting the forest areas and by not looking towards the environmental sustainability, then this would be a short-term development. It would not be a long-term development. So we need to focus on the green index as well. Now, poverty index. The poverty index will show you that how many number of people are living below the poverty line. Now, if we are going to focus on this poverty index, then along with GDP growth rate, we will make sure that the benefit of GDP is being distributed among all the public which is living in India. Now, just take an example of Madagascar, Malawi, Niger. The poverty rate in these countries is beyond 35%. So if on one side your GDP is growing, your economy is growing, but if the growth of economy is not giving any benefit to the majority of the population, then you cannot be a sustainable economy. Your economy or your society cannot be a sustainable economy or society. Now, the third one is gender equality index. Nowadays, just take an example of India. India is having 48-49% population which comprises the female population. Now, this gender equality index, it will tell you, it will show you about the equality, the equal opportunities which we are providing to male as well as female population of India. So along with GDP growth rate, we also need to make sure that in every field, female as well as male counterparts are getting equal opportunities. And in the countries like Iceland, Finland, Norway, in these countries, this index is beyond 80. That means in these countries, female as well as male members, male counterparts, they are getting equal opportunities of development. Now, how these indices make the HDI more complete. As I said, the green index will focus on sustainable growth, poverty index will focus on reducing the poverty, then gender equality index will make sure that we are providing each and every opportunity to male as well as female population. Now, if all these indices, if we are focusing on all these indices, these are going to help us to achieve the human development index or to improve our rank or score on the human development index. Now, this human development index along with examples of how these indices are used in different countries. Now, the countries are defined as developed countries, developing countries, least developed countries or least developing countries. Now, the most developed countries like US, these most developed countries, in these type of countries, all these type of indices like green indices is there, green index is there, poverty is there, equality index is there. ये जो आपके all these indexes are getting higher scores. That means these countries are able to implement these indexes. These countries are able to perform well as per these indexes. Now, in case of developed countries, as compared to most developed countries, they are unable to achieve that progress in these indices. And in case of developed countries, if we talk about gender equality, in these countries the gender equality score is comparatively low, but other like environmental sustainability score, poverty reduction score, it is so high in these type of developed countries. But now in developing countries and underdeveloped countries, these countries are unable to achieve the aim or the level or which has been achieved by the developed countries. In case of developing countries like India, be it sustainable index or green index, be it poverty reduction index or be it your equality index, we need to work on these indexes. We need to implement the policies which can help us to achieve the targets which are being set by these indexes. Clear? Now, why chasing GDP alone will not fulfill our aspiration to become a Viksit Bharat? Because there are various loopholes in GDP calculation. Because GDP, it is a measure of economical growth only. GDP will not tell you about well-being, that okay, you are earning well, but are you happy with that? What is your well-being level? Are you healthy or wealthy? If you are earning GDP, if you are earning something good, so is it converting, it is giving you a healthy benefit or not? So it is a narrow measure. Then unsustainable growth, your GDP is increasing, but the environmental level in your economy, the environmental level in your country, it is degrading. So it would be a short-term development. Then unequal distribution, GDP is rising, but the gap between rich and poor, it is increasing day by day. Then your social fabric, erosion of social fabric. Now your GDP is rising, your GDP is increasing, but at the same time the public is unable to get the benefit of this. The overall education level in your economy, the health level in your economy is not improving. So again, a drawback with the calculation of GDP and a drawback if we are only focusing on the GDP to make India a Viksit Bharat. Now the definition and how we can define a country as a developed country or a developing country. Now most developing countries जो आपकी हैं, in these type of countries, how we define these countries, like on the basis of human development index, on the basis of GDP per capita. Like in this case, the human development index, sorry, 1 second please, human development index, it should be higher. Then your GDP per capita, it should be higher. Then their investment on the infrastructure, it should be higher. Like Australia, Denmark, Finland, Japan, New Zealand, all these countries belong to most developed countries. Then your developing countries in which your moderate, the human development index level is moderate. Then their per capita income level is again lower as compared to most developed nations. So as your income level is decreasing, as your human development index level is decreasing, your level would change from most developed nation to developed nation, then your least developed nation or the developing nation. Like India, if we talk about India, so India jo hai, it belongs to the developing nation. It belongs to the developing nation. Now in case of India, the HDI index, it would be from 0.5 to 0.75%, and the per capita income of these countries would be low as compared to other developed and most developed countries. So in case you want to become a developed nation, then only GDP growth will not going to help you. You also need to focus on developing your human development, or you need to focus on the human development index as well. Now, countries using broader measures like Bhutan. Bhutan is there. The GDP level of Bhutan is very low. You cannot compare Bhutanese GDP with India's GDP, but Bhutan uses gross national happiness index. Gross national happiness index, and to calculate this gross national happiness index, Bhutan is focusing on well-being, environmental sustainability, cultural preservation and good governance. Instead of focusing only on GDP growth, instead of focusing only on industrialization by cutting their forest area, Bhutan's measure of growth is your gross happiness index. Then there is another country, Costa Rica. Costa Rica is using Happy Planet Index. Clear? And again, this Happy Planet Index will include life expectancy, then ecological footprints are there, equity, that whether we are distributing the benefits to among all the as per their requirements, this is equity, well-being, subjective happiness. Clear? Then New Zealand is there, which is using living standards framework. Then living standards framework means how you can improve your living standard, or what is the level of your living standard. Then Scotland is there, well-being economic indicators are there. Then Iceland is there, index of sustainable economic welfare is there. So these different countries are not only focusing on GDP, these countries are focusing on other indexes to increase or to improve their level, society level as well as economical level. Now, key happiness indexes and their components. Like we talk about World Happiness Report. World Happiness Report. Now, one more thing. This World Happiness Report, as per your UPSC, because if you are preparing for civil services, which institution publishes this World Happiness Report, which institution publishes this Legatum Prosperity Report Index and all. So you need to be aware about these things. Now this World Happiness Report, it will include your GDP per capita, social support would be there, healthy life would be there, freedom would be there, perception and corruption would be there, then generosity would be there. So these reports are going to include different parameters, and your countries would be judged on these different parameters. Like your Norway is there. Norway's GDP per capita jo hai, it is the Norway consistently ranks high due to its higher income and strong social safety net. Now World Happiness Report, in case of Norway, this is higher. In case of Denmark, the overall score, social support, in case of Denmark, the social support score is very high. In case of healthy life expectancy, your Iceland, it is scoring high. So different economies, different countries are performing differently in these indexes. Clear? Now Legatum Prosperity Index is there, Sustainable Development Goals are there. Now Sustainable Development Goals, again an important topic for your civil services preparation. Sustainable Development Goals, we have different Sustainable Development Goals. One is no poverty, there should be no poverty, there should be no hunger, then good health should be there, quality education should be there, gender equality should be there, then your clean water and sanitational basic facilities should be provided to the population. Now, comparing and contrasting happiness models of developed and developing nations. As I said, you can compare your developed nations as well as developing nations with each other. What is the definition of developed nation? We have seen that your human development index should be high, your per capita GDP should be high, your overall investment into the infrastructure sector should be high. Now, if we are going to compare developed nations with the developing nations, like key indicators, in case of developed nations, key indicators: income, health, education, social support, then freedom and autonomy. Income, poverty reduction. These developing nations, they will mainly focus on poverty reduction. They will mainly try to fulfill the basic needs of their population. Now, what is the relationship with the GDP for the developed nations? There is a positive correlation. There is a positive correlation between the developed nation and the level of their GDP. But in case of developing nation, there is a lesser correlation with the GDP, because no matter your GDP is rising, but at the same time the population pressure is also rising. So the overall poverty reduction, the overall per capita income in these developing nations, these are not rising as per their GDP metrics. Now, role of social capital, strong. Again, these developed nations, they mainly focus on developing of social capital. But in case of developing nation, the सोशल जो आपका है कैपिटल, इट इज मेनली डिपेंडेंट अपॉन द फैमिली सपोर्ट. ठीक, वी आर फोकसिंग ऑन द सोशल नेटवर्क बट वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग दिस सोशल बेनिफिट और सोशल सपोर्ट थ्रू द फैमिली इंस्टीट्यूशन. Now, example of happiness models are there, various different models are there, World Happiness Report is there. ठीक, so these developed nations and developing nations, we can compare these countries on various different parameters, and these countries are going to behave differently on these parameters. Now, yardsticks again, Human Development Index. Human Development Index is going to focus on the life expectancy, education, income per capita, then multiple जो आपकी multidimensional poverty index would be there. Multidimensional poverty index again, it is going to focus on your education level, your health level, your living standard level. Then your gender development index is there. Gender development index again, gender, it will focus on the male as well as female genders. Then different models are there. You can opt for any model and you can include this model to calculate or to measure your growth, social growth as well as the economical growth. We have included all these indices so that if you are preparing for UPSC, for any state service examination, you can focus on these indices and you can prepare these indices for your pre as well as mains examination. Now, what are the economical dimensions? Economical dimensions, if you need to focus on these economical dimensions, if you want to be a Viksit Bharat. Now, economical dimensions are GDP. Now, what is GDP? The overall production level of a economy. Then Human Development Index, again we have discussed. Then poverty reduction, we need to focus on poverty reduction, we need to focus on infrastructure development, we need to improve the human capital base of India, and we need to improve the overall GDP of India. So these are the economical dimensions. Now, social dimensions are there. You want to be a Viksit Bharat. So, to be a Viksit Bharat, you need to focus on the education level, and to impart the education, Government of India has given us, or the Parliament has passed the Free Education Act in India. So, there is a policy in India, there is an act in India that you will get free education till a particular level of your education. Then healthcare, we need to focus on healthcare system. And to focus on the healthcare system, government has started Ayushman Bharat. What is this? Government is providing you the health benefit. Then gender equality should be there, social inclusion should be there. So by focusing on gender equality, social inclusion, we are trying to give opportunity to each and every person who is living in India. Now, environmental dimensions, obviously you cannot only focus on the economical dimensions, you need to focus on the environmental dimensions as well, like sustainability, because sustainability will make sure that whatever you are doing today, it will give you long term benefit. Then your climate change mitigation and adaptation schemes we need to include. We need to focus on mitigation policies, we need to focus on adaptation policies. Then biodiversity conservation, again we need to conserve our biodiversity because it is a part of sustainable development. So, to be a Viksit Bharat, we need to focus on economical goals, we need to focus on social goals, we need to focus on the environmental dimensions as well. Additional considerations. What are the additional considerations? Along with these things, we can include something else like institutional framework. We need to work on good governance part. We need to bring more transparency in decision making. Then we need to ensure that the citizens of India, they are participating, because if the citizens are participating, it would be more inclusive for our economy, for our society. Then technological advancement. Yes, if you want to be a Viksit Bharat, then technological advancement is a must thing. Without using advanced technology, if you want to achieve the target of Viksit Bharat, you will not be able to achieve that target. ठीक? So all these considerations, all these things we need to include in this Viksit Bharat mission. Then what is the relevance for the for your pre, as I discussed, your economical dimensions are there. Then we have discussed the indices. All these are related with your pre-exam. And for your mains, how this particular article is important for your mains exam. So Viksit Bharat, critically evaluate the Viksit Bharat mission or Viksit Bharat approach and give your suggestions. And your link between your social as well as your economical growth, sustainable growth. So different angles can be there, and different questions can be framed from this particular article. Now, A critical analysis of Viksit Bharat approach. Now, what is the current Viksit Bharat approach? What are the strength? Strength क्या है आपकी? It focus on the aims for the holistic development. Yes. So focus of economical growth, social growth. It is going to give you a holistic development. And this what is the mechanism to implement or to achieve this Viksit Bharat? Through public-private partnership. So public-private partnership would help us to mobilize the resources and to reduce the risk factor attached with these type of policies. Now, role of youth. We are trying to empower the youth. So we are giving more chance to the youth to participate in this particular approach. Now, what are the alternate models? Alternate models. We can focus on Human Development Index. We can focus on Sustainable Development Goals. We can also focus on Gross National Happiness Index approach. So we can opt from among all these approaches, and we can include these approaches in our Viksit Bharat approach. Now, what are the various policy interventions like economical security? Then universal basic income project is there in Jharkhand and in Madhya Pradesh. So through this universal basic income, we are trying to reduce the poverty. We are trying to bring income equality. Then education, we need to focus on education and skill development. So national education policy is there, and this national education policy has been framed in such a way that it will impart a holistic learning or holistic development or holistic educational approach. Now, there is healthcare and assess services. So for healthcare, Ayushman Bharat, as I discussed, Ayushman Bharat Abhiyan has been started by the government. Under Ayushman Bharat, government is providing you health insurance worth rupee 5 lakh. So government has started various schemes. So here we have included these schemes along with the states which has implemented these schemes. So it is going to help us, or it is going to help you to improve or to include all these angles in your mains exam. Then other POXO Act is there, gender equality, how you can ensure the gender equality and gender empowerment. So there is a particular act which has been passed by the Parliament of India. Then social inclusion is there. Ek Bharat Sashastra Bharat Abhiyan has been started by the government. Environmental sustainability. For the environmental sustainability, National Green Mission is there. We are focusing on National Green Mission, and all these missions are giving us various different benefits. ठीक? So we have taken various steps to become a Viksit Bharat, but just focusing only on the economical aspect is not going to give us any benefit. Now, again, universal versus contextual goals, contemporary debate on development goals. So arguments against one size fit for all, it will not be beneficial. So we need to create such a policy which is going to give us the benefits. We need to create such a policy which is going to give us the holistic benefit. We need not to create any policy which is specifically focusing on one particular aspect. Clear? Then economical growth versus sustainability. Again, if you are only going to focus on the economical growth, then again, it is a constraint view. It will not give you a holistic benefit. So along with the economical benefit, we need to focus on the sustainable growth, because this would give us a long-term benefit for this approach. Then top-down, bottom-up approach. Now top-down, what is the meaning of top-down? That at the central level, we are formulating a policy and we are implementing that policy everywhere. But as per this top-down approach, the better one is bottom-up approach, because in case of bottom-up approach, what we are doing, we are including the lowest level, the requirement of the lowest level, and we are formulating the policy according to the requirements of the lower strata. Then technology versus equity, technological advancement. As I said, technological advancement is must if you want to be a Viksit Bharat. But make sure that whatever benefits you are getting from these schemes, you need to make sure that the benefits are being distributed among the society as per the requirement, as per the need of your society. So that is the equity. Now, relevance for your interview. Again, for your interview perspective or from your interview angle, again, what is the relevance of this article? Because this article or this topic is not only about economical development. If tomorrow you become an IAS officer, IPS, IRS officer, and your aim would be to make India a prosperous country. So to make India a prosperous country, you can not only focus on the economical aspect, you need to include all these aspects, then only India can become a prosperous country. So again, rethink India's development goals to prioritize happiness along with the economical growth. So to be a Viksit Bharat, you need to focus on the social aspect as well along with the economical aspect. So this is the crux of this particular article. So we have included each and every important thing in this article, which is going to help you for your pre-UPSC pre-level as well as for your mains level. Thank you.